Hello and welcome to another Fantasy Premier League video. My name is Mo and this is my channel FPL Inklink, where you'll be getting the latest and best Fantasy Premier League content for the FPL season 2021-2022. Today we're going to be continuing on with the club by club guide that I've been doing so far this season, and today's club is none other than Manchester City. The big guns, the Premier League champions, and the players that actually drive people mad because of the Pep Roulette. Now, before we get into the stats for last season, guys, just going to go through the formalities. If you come here for the first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back, guys, and thank you for viewing my content. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, guys, this is your chance to hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. And if you like the content, all you got to do is hit that like button with the thumb icon. And if you want to get the latest notification for my content, then all you need to do is hit that notifications bell icon and you guys can get the latest notifications for the content I release. So let's not waste any further time, guys. Let's get stuck in and let me give you guys a breakdown of stats and my personal opinion on whether players are going to be worth bringing in from Manchester City this season. First of all, let's start from the back. So let's do the tradition that we always do. Start from the goalkeeper, Edison. So in terms of Edison, he's classified as a premium goalkeeper along with Alisson and Mendy this season. Now, last season he got 160 points, which is more than the season before that he was in Fantasy Premier League. Owned by 9.2% of managers. Apologies for that. Owned by 9.2% of managers. And he pretty much is nailed on to play week in, week out. Only missed 2 games last season. One was rotation, I think, with the other one was injury itself. He got an assist last season with 19 clean sheets, which was one of the most in the season. He wasn't the highest scoring goalkeeper, guys, by the way, just to let you know. It was indeed Martinez. So for Man City, he got 4.44 points per game. Now, if you compare that to someone like Jordan Pickford's 3.74 or a Goita from Crystal Palace, who I think it was around 3.7 or 3.6 around that mark itself. So you can see that, in terms of the extra funds you're placing on him, yes, he'll get you more points, but is it actually really worth going for the extra 1.5 mil here? Or actually investing that up front ahead of the field itself. So that's why he's in the squad. He's pretty high owned. In terms of the fixtures, first game is Tottenham, which isn't great, followed by Norwich, Arsenal, Leicester, Southampton, and then Chelsea and Liverpool. So in the first 7, they're not very, fruitful fixtures. But the one thing you are guaranteed that he's good at clean sheets and he will pretty much start every game. So he's one of those rare players, along with De Bruyne, until last season I used to believe, is nailed on to score. So he's actually the only player at the moment that, for me, is nailed on to pretty much start every other game, or every game itself. Okay, that's why I've chosen him. Second was a high-scoring defender for City last season with 142 points was Diaz. So he got 26.2%. He's had a real good campaign at the Euros as well. I know Portugal didn't get too far in the tournament, but he played pretty well whenever I did see him. Priced at 6 mil, which I think is quite fair. 1 goal, 1 assist last season, and overall he was 4.5 points, averaging 4.5 points per game. A bit of a tongue twister there. So is he worth the price, with the roulette and stuff going on? At 6 mil, I think there are better alternative options this year at 5.5. You've got like Cresswell, Digne, Shaw. There are better options out there. Even John Stones from the same team. So Diaz at 6 mil. Is he worth the extra half a mil? I'm not too sure. But I do believe there's better options out there at the moment. But there is high ownership and there is a very good reason why for that as well. Second is Cancelo. Now, 8.4% of managers already have him. But I'm going to tell you guys a stat at the moment that will actually surprise you. He got 138 points last season overall. 2 goals, 4 assists, but his points per game was 5.41. So when he did play, when he was given the opportunity, boy, did he go big. But again, the only issue is the minutes per game. If you look at it, every player for City is pretty much averaging around 20 to 25 games a season. That's the roulette part. That's the frustration. Do you want to spend that much money, 6 mil, on him? Whereas you can, potentially get the same amount of points from a player who might play, pretty much week in, week out, someone like a Digne or a Cresswell, or even Luke Shaw. So that's why they're so close. But still, 8.4% is quite high ownership. And he respectively got 138 points last season. Not great fixtures, as we've discussed already, in the first 8 fixtures. But Cancelo, if he does get the nod, why not? But Walker's had a good season in the Euros, and also Zinchenko has played well. So there's a lot of places up for grabs and defence as well. Next is John Stones, owned by 11% of managers, had a real good season last season, probably his best season itself. 4 goals, no assists, had a decent Euros as well for England. Again, the only thing it is the rotation aspect. 5.5%, 5.5 mil, he's in price, but obviously they've got Diaz, they've also got Laporte as well, and Ake when he's going to be fit now as well. So there's 4 centre-backs that are going to be contesting. Will he get the nod? Will Guardiola favour him? That's going to be the question to ask. But again, he was on my kind of plans, but it's just the rotation. The Pep roulette kind of kills me. So that's why at the moment I'm not kind of favouring any Man City players. But can you play a season without Man City players? That's a question to ask. But again, he played extremely well. It'll be worth seeing if he gets more minutes this season. But if you look at his points per game, last season it was 5.96. So when he was on the pitch, he was pretty much getting you 6 points almost every single game. But for 5.5 mil, I think that's a fair return. If only he could really increase his guarantee for minutes, he would definitely be nailed on in my squad itself. Moving away from the defence, we're going to go to the midfield. So the highest scoring midfielder last season for Man City was Gundogan himself, 157 points, owned by 5% of managers at the moment. It's quite a high price, so he was around 5.5 mil last season, and I think he's gone up to 7.5, which is pretty high for me personally, for a player of his ability. Yeah, he started off at 5.5 last season, 7.5 this season, 13 goals, 4 assists. Now, most of that did come when Kevin De Bruyne was injured, so he was playing further up the field, he was on set pieces such as penalties, so again, you can't rule him out. If you look at his points per game last season in terms of Gundogan, 6.97, so he was getting around 7 points per game. But is he that kind of like, if you look at alternative players of that price, there's Mason Mount, who'll probably play more minutes. You've got 7.5 mil Shota, Greenwood. Again, the minutes are going to be the key there as well. Alternative, slightly less than 7.5 mil. You've got Harvey Barnes, Maddison, Zaha, Bundia at 6.5, Rafinha. So there are other options out there. But Gundogan can't be ignored. He did have one of his best seasons last season. Can he replicate that again this season? It's going to be worth seeing. But for me, I am not looking at him at the moment. But if he does start off well, there's no reason why I can't consider him. Second highest scoring midfielder was Raheem Sterling. Now he's owned by 2.8% of managers so far. Firstly, it could be to do with the fixtures that they do have. And secondly, last season wasn't his best season for Man City. Yes, he had a brilliant Euros for England right now. But has he done enough to kind of like convince Pep Guardiola himself? Will they be bringing Grealish in? Will he be leaving? I'm not too sure right now. But he got 10 goals and 9 assists last season with 154 points. If you look at his points per game, he was averaging 5.47. Now, for a player who's worth 11 mil, I think that's pretty much, I don't think that's enough return from a player of his ability and the price that they set him himself. So I think he can have a better season. The season before, he got 20 goals with 6 assists. So it shows that he can do it. But it's just whether he gets that chance, whether he's given the minutes on the pitch. And he's not really on penalties and stuff, but he does win the penalties. So that's why he gets so many assists. But I generally believe that if he can improve his finishing, get back to the level he was a season or two ago, then there is no reason why he cannot kind of replicate and get the results that he was getting. He got 3 seasons back to back. He got over 200 points. So it shows the value he does bring to Man City themselves and the FPL managers. You can see he's never really played 3,000 minutes in any season, but when he does play, boy, he does have an impact itself. The third highest scoring midfielder was Riyad Mahrez. So he's gone up in price this season as well, from 8 mil to 9 mil, owned by 3.5% of managers. He got 145 points last season with 9 goals and 8 assists. Didn't even play 2,000 minutes, which again, the minutes are the concern. For 9 mil, if you look elsewhere, for 9.5, you've got Rashford. For 8.5, you've got Havertz. For 8 mil, you've got Jack Grealish. So they're pretty much getting the same amount of points as him, but when he does play, boy, does he have an impact on Man City themselves. So if we go through his stats for last season, he was getting around 6.71 points per game. So that is pretty exciting, to be fair. When he is on the pitch, he does run the show. Now, whether I'll bring him into my draft or not, I was generally considering him. If he was going to remain around the 8.5 mil mark, I definitely would have brought him in. But 9 mil is half a mil too much for me, for a player who's not nailed on to play every single week. And again, if someone like a Jack Grealish turns up to Man City. What does that do for someone like Kamara? So keep a lookout. He does go big, but when he does go big, he gets around 16, 15, 20 points in a game. So he does have those moments in him as well. Now, next is none other than Kevin De Bruyne. Now, he is my star recommendation from Man City. Pretty obvious itself, but 12 mil. I think he's slightly a bit higher in price, but he had a quiet season last season. I think he'll be back with a bang this season. Yes, he's had injuries. Yes, it wasn't a great season last season for him in terms of FPL returns, but I think this season can be something that we can look forward to in terms of, what he can do, what he can bring, and let's see what he can do for Man City. So 12 assists and 6 goals, 141 points. He didn't play 2,000 minutes last season due to injury, and near the end of the season he was starting to get rotated, which kind of surprised me as well. But his points per game, he was averaging 6.36, which for me was quite low for him, but that's why I kind of put him in my star-studded recommendation, because I believe that he will come good this season and he can't stay quiet for too long. And he's too much of a good player to keep quiet. And, I don't think if City want to retain the title, he's going to be the main talisman. And if he's fit, if he's hungry, if he's performing well, he's in good form, then there is no reason why City can't kind of replicate the good form and, the presence they have shown previously, whilst competing for the challenges or challenging the title at the topest level. He did get 230 or 250 points the season before, but 141 points is not bad at all last season, considering how many minutes he played. But, I think if he can get around the 2,700, 3,000 points mark, he will definitely break the 200 points again. But 12 mil is quite a steep in price, but if he's going to live up to that name, live up to that price, then who better than Kevin De Bruyne? Last but not least, from the midfield, it's going to be Phil Foden. Now, he's going to be my star recommendation from the youth aspect of Man City. 13.9% of ownership, 8 mil in price. He got 135 points last season, 9 goals and 8 assists, by far his most fruitful season. And if you look at his stats for points per game, this is what's going to kind of shock you, is going to be he got 7.56 points per game, which is really high for his price. He's really impactful. Now, will he get more minutes this season? It's yet to be seen. Will Grealish come in or not? I haven't got him in any of my drafts or squads. I want to see how he plays for the first 5 to 6 game weeks, and if he does come off good and he is in the squad regularly, then I will definitely look to bring him in to my squad. He got 17 bonus points last season. He's a real manager puller. People love him, and if he does play and he does get good minutes and he does get good returns, that ownership will go from 13% to high 30s, if not 40% itself. So that's Phil Foden for you guys. He hasn't played much in the Euros itself. Started off well in the first game, but then kind of tailed off and lost the place in the squad. So he's going to be pretty fresh, pretty raring to go, and let's see what he can prove to Phil Foden can prove to Pep Guardiola and Gareth Southgate himself. I generally think he's a real attribute. He likes to cut in, drive at players, kind of go for the shots, has a real good left foot on him, has a good eye to set the ball out as well. And he's not selfish. He does like to give and create for teams as well. So that's why I've got him in my recommendation. And he's going to be one of my star recommendations, along with KDB, as the youngster upcoming in Man City's FPL squad player choices. Last but not least, the only forward that Pep's team in Man City have, which is Jesus. So he got 115 points last season, played over 2,000 minutes, 9 goals and 5 assists. He's priced at 8.5 mil, owned by 3.5% of managers. He is really good up front, guys. He just needs to, just get a regular run. And I think, he can get a season where he can pretty much score 15, 16 goals. Now with Aguero gone, if they don't play the false 9, they play a full striker. He might get 20 goals this season. We never know. But again, if you look at his stats in terms of points per game, he was averaging 5.03, which is not bad. 8.5 is a very decent price for a team like Man City, who are pretty aggressive. You just have to wait and see how he plays this season. He got 16 bonus points. He does like to take players on. He likes to be feisty in their kind of faces. So let's see how they play. Will they still play with the false 9, or will they give Jesus the run that he kind of wants in terms of week in, week out? Will they try another striker? Obviously, Harry Kane, that's still yet to be seen. But in terms of Jesus himself, if he is going to be the main striker and he has no other competition, then he might be a real good choice, and that ownership from 3.5% can actually go up to, maybe 20% or more. Again, A, based on him being the first choice, and B, if he gets off to a good start this season. So that's, guys, are my players and my review from Man City. Again, a lot of roulette, a lot of movement, a lot of rotation. I don't blame them because they've got such squad depth and they literally can put out 2 teams per week if they wanted to. Again, they have got some really good points. They're pretty much level with every other team who've played pretty much every week in, week out. But the only thing I want people to be aware of is, do they really want to have players who don't play every single week stay on the bench? So that's something worth considering. Keep that in mind, guys. Do you want to invest in them and then have a good, stronger bench? That's worth thinking about. But at the moment, you can see there's not really much ownership around Man City itself. Even Kevin De Bruyne doesn't have much ownership. But trust me, once they go big and they start playing well, those ownerships will increase indeed. So that's my squad review for Man City, guys. Have I gone through all the players that you wanted me to? Have I missed anyone? Have I gone through enough stats to convince you to bring one person in that you weren't looking at the moment? Let me know. Contact me on my social media. Drop me some comments in the comment section. Type the code in on the bottom left into the FPL game itself. Join the FPL Inkling League. And if you haven't subscribed yet, guys, it's not a better time than now. All you need to do is hit that subscribe button, grow this channel, help me get more in terms of growing this channel itself. And like the video if you like it, and hit the notifications icon if you liked the content and you want to get latest notifications around when I release my content. I hope you guys have a lovely evening, and I'll see you guys soon.